Hey everybody, it's Dan, your friendly fishmonger at dansfish.com, and today I want to show you how to breed and raise the banded gudgeon, Mogurnda cingulata. I'll take you through the whole process, from the eggs being laid to them being collected and hatched to the little baby fry and raising them up. So it took a few months to get this video together, but this is one of my favorite gudgeons and I think it's going to be worth the effort. Here they are. These are some babies that we raised up. I wanted to take a minute and show you these guys because this tank has some light sand on the bottom, which means their colors are going to be a little lighter. A lot of the fish we're going to see in the rest of this video are in tanks that are, painted black. They're holding tanks, breeding tanks, rearing tanks, and they don't have sand in the bottom, and so the fish tend to kind of darken down in that on those black tanks. So I just want to take a moment and show you the awesome yellows and oranges and blues that these guys get when they have some substrate in the tank. Alright, so here's the daddy. He's on his nest there. He had a previous spawn a little while ago and they nested on the bottom. This time they chose the side. So I thought it would be fun to take you through this process as they lay the eggs and the eggs hatch and get reared. So these are Mogurnda cingulata, the banded gudgeon. In the right, there we go. See all those red dots on the blue there. Red striations on the operculum, the gill plates. This is our 5th spawn from these guys. They are super easy to spawn. We're just feeding them vibrobites and carnivore pellets and frozen brine shrimp and frozen bloodworms and other stuff like that. Look at this. This fish here is kind of defending the area. And then this one, which is probably the male, is here fanning all these eggs. And the eggs are stuck on with a filament. I don't know if we'll be able to see it. Let's get in there as tight as we can. He's kind of shadowing them, but you can see him flow as he fans them. So this is day 3. As you can see, the little eggs are eyed up. You can see the little dark eye spot in there. You can also see the yolk sac on their little tummies. They're basically turning into little fish. Now, I could leave them in here, and Daddy would do a great job defending the egg mass. However, in a few days when they're free swimming, when they hatch and they're beyond wrigglers and they're swimming all around the tank, then the dad is not going to be able to protect them anymore. That tank has a lot of fish in it. So in order to preserve the spawn and make sure I get a good hatch rate, what I like to do at this point is to remove the eggs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this brine shrimp net and this razor blade, and I've got this, in case any get away from me, I've got my trusty turkey baster. But I'm just going to scrape these eggs off the side. Sorry, Daddy, I just scared him. And into this brine shrimp net. But before I do that, I forgot one step. I'm going to turn off the air in here so that we don't end up with a bunch of current making it really hard to work. Alright, turn off the air so the eggs don't go everywhere when I scrape them. Just going to put the brine shrimp net down here and scrape these off, hopefully, into the brine shrimp net. Hopefully, without damaging the silicone. So there we go. Oh, they kind of made a mass down there, didn't they? Go into the net. Okay, and there's still a couple on here. I might come back for them, but we also might let Daddy just do his thing with those few. So if you come look here, we've got the mass of eggs. Looks like a sea anemone or a sea slug. See that big mass of eggs in that net? And you can see the white ones that didn't get fertilized, those few that stick out really white, those are the unfertilized eggs. So what we're going to do is we're going to take those going to put them in here. Really carefully. Okay, there we go. Got them all, I think. Oh, there's one. One little one there. Okay. All right. So now we have a mass of eggs in a container. I'm going to pour this off. And this is a great chance to pick out the infertile eggs, those white ones. So I'm going to get a little pipette. And we'll do that real quick. Now, obviously, you don't have to do this. If this was a big problem, none of these eggs would have developed. And I might not get all of them because I don't want to risk taking out viable eggs. All right, now we're going to take them over to artificially incubate. To artificially incubate them, we have a cichlid egg tumbler. The problem is the bottom on this thing is much too big for these little gudgeons. They'll fall through the bottom. So I've cut out a little blue scrubby pad. You can use a green scrubby pad too. I just had a blue one around. And stick it in there. And that way the eggs won't fall through the bottom, but you'll still get water flowing up through, which is what keeps them fresh. We're trying to mimic the constant movement around the eggs with fresh oxygenated water that happens when the male fans them, as we've seen earlier in this video. So what I'm going to incubate them is this old animal crackers container from Costco. It's a 2-gallon container that used to be full of animal crackers. So we ate the animal crackers, they were delicious. Now we use it to hatch eggs. So we're just going to take this water, we're going to pour a lot of it out. Then when we get close to the eggs, put that down there. Hang on, I need a little more water. A little deeper, there we go. And we're going to pour these into this container. There we go. So there's a few left. Don't worry, they're going to be fine. Okay, they're going to take this, put it in here, and drop it in here. This is the hatching container. And then we're going to take this airline, put it on here. That'll provide some bubbles, which will keep the water moving to mimic the father fanning the eggs, just like that. That's about all we need. Then we're going to gently turn on the air. Okay, that's about right. See how they're shaking down there? The eggs are kind of moving around. That's all we need. Just the eggs to move around and have fresh water coming up through them all the time. In fact, that might be too much. If it's too much, sometimes it can suck the eggs up and out of there, and they end up on the bottom of the container before they're hatched, which is no es bueno. Turn this down just a bit. That's not quite enough. Just a little more than that. Okay, there. So they're just kind of barely lifting up and down. So that's pretty good. That should be plenty of fresh water. Now the next thing we need to do is we're going to add our methylene blue. You can use hydrogen peroxide or whatever. I happen to have a bunch of methylene blue around, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. But before I do that, you get gloves on because this stuff be nasty. Alright, so methylene blue stains everything. So I can get some gloves on. And as we grow beyond just me and start hiring help and things, we're implementing some policies here. Anytime we use any chemicals or medicines or anything, we have gloves and we're going to have masks. This is not a COVID thing. This is just to prevent someone from accidentally splashing some chemicals in their mouth or their nose while they're working. We just feel it'll be safer, so we're implementing those kinds of policies. And then my glasses, I'm counting on to be sufficient to keep anything from getting in my eyes. So 1 teaspoon of methylene blue is about right. for 10 gallons. This is 2 gallons here. So I'm going to put in a little under. Hang on. A fifth. Do a fifth white. Actually, I'm going to probably start with an eighth. Because honestly, I kind of go by color. I usually just do it by drops, but it's a video. I'm trying to be accurate. So I'm going to start with an eighth and see what the color looks like. Stuff's pretty darn strong. I can tell by looking at it that that might be all we need. We'll see in a second here once that kind of dissolves through. So that helps to prevent any fungus or bacteria from getting a purchase on the eggs. It also increases the oxygen level around the eggs. I think that's more than enough, so I'm not going to put the next bit in. In fact, we probably don't need any, to tell you the truth, but it does help sometimes. Alright, so there's the banded gudgeon eggs. We'll just let them bubble. Yeah, they're still moving up and down gently. That's exactly what we want. We'll show you what happens after this. And we're going to take off this mask because it's hot on my face. Okay, here they are the next day, day 4. Just tumbling up and down gently in the egg tumbler. Just that little slight movement to keep fresh oxygen on them and keep detritus from settling on them. So this is day 4. And the next day, day 5 in the process, just a little more developed. We haven't done anything. We haven't changed the water. We haven't added fresh methylene blue or anything like that. We're just letting them sit in this tumbler. We're not bothering them, and they're progressing nicely. The next day here, day 6, and we have our first hatches. And it's been a week now. This is day 7. As you can see, the egg tumbler has a whole lot of little babies in it that have all hatched out. There's a few that haven't. They'll continue to hatch out over the next couple of days. But we have a nice, good hatch rate from this spawn. I'm pretty pleased with it. And as we zoom out, you'll see some more in the container. We'll go down underneath here, and you'll see all these little baby fry that have left the bubbler, the egg tumbler, and are in the container. So as they hatch, they kind of make their way out the top of that tumbler and go into the container where we can collect them. Okay, they are now out of their little hatching container. This is day 8. They're in a 30-gallon breeder, and we're just going to pan across here and show you the sheer number of babies. This is one spawn. Now we've had like 15 spawns from these guys. They're very, very prolific. One spawn, and there's several hundred little babies in here. Almost 100% hatch rate. There were a few white and fertile eggs, as we saw earlier, that did not hatch. I think all the other eggs did, everything that was fertile. These are some of the easiest eggs to take care of. They don't tend to fungus. They're very hardy. They're resistant to bacteria and fungus and all that. So if you're trying egg layers for the first time, an easy egg to care for, and when the babies hatch, they're big enough right away to take baby brine shrimp, which makes them pretty easy to raise. So once they're hatched out, they're on baby brine shrimp right away, which is much easier than feeding infusori and rotifers and all that kind of thing. Okay, so they've just had their first meal, and as you can see, they eat really well. Big orange, pink bellies. That's a whole bunch of baby brine shrimp that they've stuffed down there. And we'll just keep doing that. We'll keep stuffing food in them, and they'll keep growing. You might have noticed we have some cherry shrimp in this aquarium, and I find cherry shrimp are really useful in helping raise baby fish. They eat food that falls to the bottom that the babies don't eat, so you don't get a bunch of rotting food down there, which is always gross and causes problems. And I often use them with eggs too, not in this case, but oftentimes with lots of fish species, we'll put cherry shrimp in with the eggs, and the cherry shrimp will tumble them around, pick off bacteria and fungus, and keep the eggs moving around and keep them fresh. So I find them really valuable when trying to raise eggs and baby fish. All right, it's day 13 now, and as you can see, these guys have got quite a bit of size on them, a lot more pigment. They can eat now without blimping out quite so much because they have more room for the baby brine shrimp in their tummies, and we just keep feeding them baby brine shrimp all the time. They have baby brine shrimp in front of them, and that creates some really rapid growth. The 30-gallon aquarium, we change the water pretty frequently so it stays nice and fresh, and with that, they're growing so fast that pretty soon here we're gonna have to move them to a larger tank because they're gonna get too crowded in here, and we don't want that. Okay, it's day 17 now, and these little guys have grown so fast that we moved them out of the 30-gallon breeder. They're now in a 75-gallon aquarium, plenty of room to stretch and grow. You don't want to crowd your fry, and when you have a spawn of literally hundreds, probably 500 fish, the last thing you want to do is keep them in a tiny little container where they will have all kinds of problems. You have to feed them heavily or they don't grow well. And when you feed them heavily, you get all kinds of ammonia building up. There are some Sowilia lineolata, some hillstream loaches, on the bottom of this aquarium. They will help keep the tank clean and eat any food that the fry don't eat. I find little scavengers like that on the bottom help a lot when you're raising fry, but it's 17 days, they're already big enough. They need a bigger tank, which is quite rapid growth. So that's how we breed the banded gudgeon Mogurnda cingulata. Basically, at that point, all you have to do is keep food in front of them and keep their water clean. They'll eat anything at that point. Once they're about a quarter-inch, you can feed them flakes, little pellets, big carnivore pellets. They'll learn to tear those apart. They're very easy. Food and change the water, and they'll get big pretty quick. That's pretty much the formula once they're onto baby brine shrimp. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. We do a live stream every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That's 9 p.m. Eastern. And if you'd like to join us, we're live on YouTube at the Dan's Fish channel. Love to see you there. Yeah, until next time, I hope you have a good one. Thanks. Bye-bye.